That's exactly where I go with this. Residential is insulated because again, if you're a landlord who's locked at 3.5 or 4 and values fall, they don't call the loan. That's not how it
Right.
works in residential.
Right.
So again, you can hold and collect cash flow and wait to the other side. Commercial, if it stayed there for years, I don't know, it's like 30% of loans are resetting every 2 years. That's just how it works on the cycle. It would be
Yes.
catastrophic. Banks would go out of business. The biggest of big banks would go
Yes.
out of business if this happened.
Absolutely. Because they'd have to write down the debt. And this is
Exactly.
exactly what happened during the savings and loan crisis of the 1980s.
Exactly, exactly,
And,
exactly.
not that everything is exactly the same, but when you have properties that are, when you have loans that are collateralized by the value of assets that have been historically pretty strong. And in the 70s and 80s, it was farmland, it was oil wells, and it was commercial real estate. And suddenly interest rates go so high, those values plummet because there is no longer that risk premium. And then the banks call the loans because they have to, because there's even tighter banking regs now that say your loans have to be healthy. They have to meet, these criteria. Otherwise, you need to have them paid off. You need to call the loan or you need to increase reserves. And so we have a period of time where we have this asset bubble where everything's gone up in value that's collateralizing loans, whether it's corporate debt, commercial debt, whatever. When that bubble pops and values come down, the value of collateral goes down and the banks must call those loans. Well, your debt is the bank's asset. So when the bank has to start calling loans or writing off the value of their asset because their asset's now gone down in value, it makes them insolvent because their assets are way low. They still have their outstanding debts. And you probably have some more flight of deposits from the banks because people can go park their money in a CD or a money market in a brokerage account and make a higher return than on a checking account. Banks just go insolvent and you have another savings and loan banking crisis. So I hope that I don't think inflation's that bad. And Jamie Dimon's a smart guy. Like I listen to what he says, but if inflation's that bad that the Fed actually leaves rates at 7 for very long, I think they trigger a true banking and credit crisis that puts the economy in much worse than what we saw in 2008. So I hope that doesn't happen, but that's how those things can happen because then it's a ripple effect. Like it hits commercial real estate, it hits REITs, it hits companies that are holding real estate in their portfolio, it hits banks, the stock market tanks. Like it's a really bad end if that's, what we end up with, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. When
And
I
I'm
thought
not a
about,
doomer. I'm not a doomer, but that's where that can
yeah,
get there pretty quickly.
that's exactly where I went is I put this out there and I'm like, I played what if with it. And I got to a pretty bad ending pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not alone. Anna, where can people find you?
Great. You can find me on social media, Anna Kelly, REI Mom. My website for coaching and consulting is reimom.com and every week here on your show.
Thank you so much.